Hey everyone, it's Irene here. It's July. We're at the end of July 2020, and I wanted to pop in to do a quick Q&A. I saw a question pop up under one of my YouTube videos back in, I'm just looking here at my computer. This is from a YouTube video back in 2018. It was called Trauma Tip Number 6, How Long Does It Take to Heal Trauma? And really appreciated a question that was posted by Martha just 6 hours ago. And she said, so if it may get more intense and it never is really over, why should we want to release the trauma? And she says, not trying to be cheeky at all. So I can't remember exactly what's in this video because I've got hundreds of videos, but what she's probably talking about is in the video, I probably mentioned that when we start to heal survival stress, which is essentially trapped trauma within the nervous system and in the organ systems and the tissues, even in our thinking and our behaviors, when we start to heal, like really heal at the deep nervous system, somatic body level, and the way at least that I bring my students and clients through, we will feel really intense stuff. And the reason why is because we are bringing up things that we didn't have the capacity for, or the knowledge, or the support, or the safety. We didn't have all these things on board when those traumatic, scary things, those bad things happened to us. So we stuff that inside, and that's what we call trauma. That's what we call PTSD, complex PTSD, survival stress. This is what causes, as we know, through the research and of course through practice, anxieties, depressions, chronic illnesses, mental illness, relational troubles, trouble attuning with others, trouble parenting, trouble being focused in our daily tasks, trouble connecting with the environment, trouble being engaged with ourselves in a way that is just joyful and good, and also being able to experience emotions. So the question was, again, I'll repeat it, why bother? It's a totally valid question. Why bother doing any of this work if it's just going to feel big, scary, and intense? And here's why. It really depends on each person's personal desires for their life and how they grow into their older years. We bother, or I bother, and my students bother because many of them are already sick and unwell. Many of them have various illnesses, whether it is diabetes, heart disease, cancer. One of my students who has recovered from severe cancer, I'll be talking to her soon. She's certain that if she had had this work before, she probably wouldn't have gotten sick. Autoimmune illness, chronic pain, insomnia. I mean, there's just this long list, bowel problems, intestinal problems. So what we know through some of the research that's very conclusive, namely the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. This was a seminal study that unlocked kind of the Pandora's box. It opened up, I should say, Pandora's box around the link between early adversity and early stress. So a child being constantly under a state of fight, flight, and freeze in their younger years and them growing old without having healed it, there's a strong connection with a whole list of many of our common day chronic illnesses that we just think are genetic, like cancer, like heart disease, addiction, things like rheumatoid arthritis, MS, ALS, these things that we think are just genetic fate, and they're not. And so one of the reasons why, to go back to the original question from this YouTube question, or this YouTube video in the question, why bother doing this work if we're going to feel really scary, intense things? The reason is to be healthy. It's really as simple as that. To be healthy, what we would call regulated in our nervous system, to have capacity in our bodies so that we're not always shutting down and shrinking or feeling chaos inside, and to make it such that our bodies aren't constantly living in a state of survival. And here's the thing, if we eat fairly well and we have good relationships and safety and we like our work and what we do, we can go along for quite a long time before we might end up sick. But there are very few people, from what I know, who just die, sort of morbid, but just pass due to old age. Usually there's some physical ailment. If I think about the grandparents that I knew, they didn't just pass away in their sleep with full vigor and health. They had various health problems. And you might know that as well with your parents or grandparents or people that you know. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's been that way because historically we haven't worked on this stuff young. Even if you're 46 like me, or 30, or in your 50s, or even in your 60s, or if you're 20 or 25, the nervous system doesn't really know time in a way. And this thought that time heals all wounds, that might be true. If you've got like a cut, I have a Band-Aid here on my finger, time will heal this. However, when it comes to matters of the nervous system, the deep sort of science of how our system is dysregulated or not dysregulated and how that impacts our organ systems, etc., that does not heal with time. We have to actively work with it. And finally, the reason why we have to actively work with it, it doesn't just heal like that, like a cut, is our higher brain gets in the way. It will help us heal, but it also gets in the way of healing. So I wanted to just pop in. I'm not going to be doing any questions right now. I just had to get that on record. I had to document this question. Of course, we'll answer it on YouTube as well. So Martha, if you're listening to this, thank you for asking it. It's not a cheeky question at all. It's very valid. If you're new to this work and you haven't looked at the research, you haven't watched any of my other videos or articles where I've written about how chronic illness is connected to unhealed trauma, please do that. If you're on Instagram watching this, I'll post a link to an article that's probably one of the more comprehensive articles I have on this topic. It's from quite a few years ago, maybe 4 or 3 years ago. If you are watching this on YouTube, it might be underneath in the Show More section. But bottom line, the reason why we want to heal, even though it's intense, is so that we stay healthy and we maintain health and we don't get sick and we die peacefully in our sleep without any ailments or illness or cancer or heart disease or any of the stuff that is so common right now. That's the reason. All right, everyone, hopefully that has given you a little nugget of information and a little more knowledge around why we do this work. It's not just so that all we feel is suffering and intensity. It's so that we can actually get to the other side and be healthy and just live and enjoy this beautiful planet that we're on, rather than constantly be in this merry-go-round of strain and stress and constantly having to heal and figure out what's wrong with us. All right, signing off. Thank you for all being here. Thanks for your comments and thumbs up. We will talk to you when we talk to you. Bye for now.